Hello and welcome to Bleeding Tree Gaming. My name's Amy, aka Warpfiend, and today I'm going to be finishing up my Stormcast Eternals from the Skaventide box. So having got all those metal colours down in my last video, it was time for me to fill in the rest of the details. First off with the cloaks. In my previous video I mentioned using some Wildwood contrast paint to quickly cover up the non-metallic parts. I actually ran out of that right after recording the video, so I ended up using some Inkensity wood with some contrast medium to replace it. Unfortunately the coverage on this wasn't quite as good, but the dark gold robes made me think of Lindell Knights from Elden Ring, so I decided to paint them in this golden yellow. I first based them all with Baylor Brown. I'm going to do both the robes and the parchment in this scheme to save a bit of time. I then shaded down the recesses with some Scrag Brown. I re-established the Baylor Brown until I was happy with the balance. To highlight, I mixed in some Flashgit's yellow and hit the raised parts. I take the last mix, add in some dark ivory and get a quick but fairly sharp edge highlight. Finally I take some pure dark ivory and hit some of the corners. For the parchments, I'm just going to highlight with some rough horizontal lines to create the illusion of some wrinkled ancient scrolls. Some of the inner robes I decided I still wanted them brown, so I based these parts in Rhinox hide. I'm then going to highlight these with some Scrag Brown and finally some dark ivory. For the flame I wanted a vivid red tone to counteract all the greens I'd used, so I'm first going to paint all of the flames in white. I then mix some dark hot pink with that white and paint outwards, kind of avoiding the deepest recesses at the base of the flames and creating a rough transition, getting darker as the flame goes outwards. I do that again with pure hot pink, covering a slightly smaller area this time, focusing more towards the end of the flames. Then I use some Mephiston red, again covering a smaller area. And finally some Barak Nar burgundy, just on the tips of the flames. After this is all dried, I come back with some ball red to really bring out the vibrancy of the red, glazing it over the end of the flames. After this, a touch of Luxian purple on the very tips to finish them off. For the two griff-beasts, I started off by just coating the whole things in Luxian purple, which was way too rich, but it definitely helped me pick a colour scheme. In the end, I used the Barak Nar burgundy to base them both. The feathers then got highlighted with that dark hot pink. I use a mix of lots of sketchy lines with some overbrushing to get all this done quickly. The bodies of the beasts get highlighted up with red, grey. There's always a bit of trade-off when you need to speed paint an army, so I've kind of got a few simple but striking colours that are going to grab attention on the tabletop. One thing that I do feel about this army is there's not really a lot of zoomed in details that you can kind of pick up the mini and get close to before you notice, but sometimes you've just got to get an army on the tabletop, and I think these are going to look great in that situation. Well, that's all, bar some tufty basing. Stick around for the beauty shots at the end. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. I super enjoyed this project and I'm looking forward to getting this spearhead force on the table. I have no idea what I'm going to get to expand this army, so if you have any suggestions, please let me know. If you watched this far, please consider liking and subscribing to Bleeding Tree Gaming. We really appreciate the support. We also have Discord, Coffee, Facebook, and a multitude of ways you can connect with us in the description, so please check them out. I've been Amy, aka Warpfiend, and this is Bleeding Tree Gaming. Bye bye!